Hello and welcome to WhatKeepsYouAwake.tv. It's time again to dive into the hustles, the hurdles, and the highs that keep small business leaders up at night. I'm your host, David Hooser, and we are fortunate to welcome today's guest, Andres Vargas.
Thanks, Dave.
Andres is flexing his muscles as he has over the past few years as an owner and head coach of the Strength Cave. He's also presently in the process of expanding his entrepreneurial footprint to work strategically with his better half in the real estate space. Andres, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
So with that, let's get started with our foundational questions. Tell me, as a serial and transitional entrepreneur, what keeps you awake late at night?
Man, so many things, right? Obviously,
Pre-workouts,
right? Pre-workouts. If you have those a little too late,
That's
then
right.
those are not those do not mix well with sleep for sure.
Sleep.
I think there's always a lot of day-to-day things going on in your head. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to turn those off, especially when you're trying to build something new or you have a new project that you're working on. You have a thought in the middle of a dream that brings you back to that project. And
So when did you start the Strength Cave?
I started the Strength Cave. I guess you could say I really started it when I was in college
Okay.
and in graduate school. But as far as making it my full-time profession, that was in 2017.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you've been doing it going on 8 years.
Right. Yeah. So, that was something that I started as a passion project at first.
Sure.
And then it morphed into something that I truly loved and wanted to continue doing.
So what's the client count that you have served at your peak, or
At
that
the
you serve
peak,
now?
I would say at the peak, I was around 50 clients at a time.
Wow.
And that business has always been, well, at the beginning it wasn't, but it morphed into more of a remote virtual training,
Okay.
coaching business and consulting
COVID
business.
helped to make sure that happened.
Yeah, believe it or not, I was already doing that before COVID.
Okay.
And then, I think that solidified in people's minds that that's a
Right.
thing. But, these days I'm paring back a little bit, trying to take not a back seat, but really trying to move forward with the real estate stuff that
Sure.
you mentioned.
Sure. We'll talk
But yeah,
a bit about that.
sure.
So what what are the kind of foundational obstacles to starting a fitness personal training business like you have?
Well, number one, there's a lot of people that want to do that,
So
or that
competition is
competition is big. It's a field that isn't necessarily gatekept by any kind of, you have to sometimes have a certification to get certain jobs,
Right.
but there's not like a governing body or you have to have this degree in order to do it. A lot of times you're contending with people who are naturally really gifted in the way that they look, or
Okay.
the way that they
Right.
train, or the results that they get, I'm saying. And that can be hard to break into, to gain the
Okay.
trust of people.
But you're in great shape, so
Thank
obviously
you.
you follow you
Sure.
practice what you preach.
Absolutely.
So that's how you got started. You got
Yeah.
into fitness yourself, or
Mhm.
accelerated your activities around the space.
That's right. So when I was a kid, I was pretty overweight. By the time I was 18, I was over 300 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
I was obese. And
How tall are you?
I'm only like 5'7",
Wow.
so not a lot of height to go with that weight. So I one day just could kind of see the writing on the wall. I think I saw a lot of disease in my family and other people that were overweight in my family, and decided I needed to make a change. And so I started getting in shape for myself. Didn't know what I was doing at first. Just did what I thought came naturally, which is move more and try to eat less junk food.
Good foundational principles.
Right. And that worked really well. I was able to lose like 120 pounds in the first 8 months or so.
Without a fad diet.
Without
to
the
follow.
Ozempic, without the
Wow,
keto, without any of
yeah.
that. And that just blossomed from there. Honestly, I started getting more into different types of ways to exercise, really found a home with strength training.
Okay.
And then I was right in that transition point where I'm just going to decide what I'm going to do in college. I'm in college. What do I do? So I started studying kinesiology, which is a
Okay.
fancy word for exercise
Movement.
science. Yeah.
Very cool. So, wow, that's a hell of a journey to go, to, from that level of obesity for your height to, I mean, you're a perfect specimen
Oh,
today.
thank you.
And obviously, you've been doing this for years. But then also to take what you learned for yourself and model it into a program
Right.
to help others. So is that your specialty? Do you work with people that are slightly over their, weight goals to bring them in line? Or, I mean, is that kind of your client base?
So it was at first. I think when I was working a lot in person, that's typically the type of person that would come through the door of an establishment that I was
Right.
working at. They don't know much. They want to get in shape and they need somebody to help them. Over time, as I got more experienced and got more into bodybuilding and powerlifting and all of these things personally, that morphed into the type of person I wanted to work with. And so that lends itself better to that remote model a lot of
Yeah,
times,
okay.
because you're dealing with somebody
Who
who's
is
a little more
motivated?
experienced
Mhm.
and already a little bit self-motivated, and they just need your guidance and expertise to kind of get them where they're wanting to go.
Yeah, someone to, it's interesting because I did for 5 years, I did some fitness
Did you?
events and
Bodybuilding or
bodybuilding.
yeah.
Well, it was physique.
Okay.
Um, and the thing that always drove me wasn't my own goals, but it was how good the other guys
Mm.
are going to look next to me if I don't,
That can be dangerous to get into,
reach.
a
Yeah.
dangerous mindset to get into because then you're kind of never satisfied with the what you
Uh,
see,
and
right?
and that was true in that
Yeah.
day, in that time. Now,
Yeah.
I tell everyone that my wine refrigerator, which I told you I worked for my online school,
Mhm.
which we had partnerships in 24 countries, and I worked a lot at home. We had an office here in Scottsdale, but I worked a lot at home because my partners were starting there. In China, they start when we're having dinner, and
Mm.
in Europe starts well before we normally wake up.
Mhm.
Um, so I would find myself sitting at a countertop in my home in my kitchen, which kitchen great room was combined, and off to my left was my wine chiller, wine
Mm.
refrigerator, and I tell everyone they called my name late at night.
Mm.
Um, so for years I couldn't answer.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
you would
that
go
does not
6 months, 8 months, preparing for an event, and no, you'd have to eat strict. You'd have to,
no alcohol, no.
um, now I decided that life wasn't for me because my red wine and I are good friends. So,
Sure.
so I tend to
Yeah,
give in to that late night call now when
sure.
my wine chiller
We're still in great
says
shape
my
though,
name.
so you
Well,
found a
thank
good
you.
balance.
It's important, and as an entrepreneur, you have to have balance. You have to live a life as well as build this new uh, enterprise that you've chosen to
That's right.
start. So, how do you balance? But we have lots of things to ask about, but how do you balance your life? What's your typical workday?
Well, I feel like over the years I've gotten really good at just time management and being able to switch tasks and focus on what I'm supposed to be doing at that
Okay.
moment. So, for a long time, I used to enjoy my afternoon workouts and, I had the luxury to be able to do them in the
To
middle
do
of the
it
day.
right.
These days, a lot of times it's first thing in the morning because then I get it done. And I find a lot of times when I know I have something coming up, say, in the morning that I have to get to, I'm a lot less, I don't dilly dally so much in the gym,
Right.
right? I get what I need to get done and
Right.
then I'm out the door. The rest of the day, ends up being, a mix of computer work, client facing work, whether it be media, social media stuff that I'm trying to do behind the scenes as well.
So
Um,
you're the marketing department as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, up to this point, I haven't hired somebody for that. So it's kind of all in one, right? And that can be tiring, but also fun and exhilarating at the
Right.
same
Keeps you
time.
engaged.
Sure.
So what do you do for marketing? Is it mostly word of mouth?
Yeah, thankfully, I feel like that's what everybody says. Oh, it's all referrals and word of mouth. But there's an art to that as well, and a science to that also of how you obviously you have to have a good product, you have a good
Right.
service, but it's also in the way that you interact with others and the way that you truly have to can't just go to somebody as a transactional type of relationship. There
Right.
has to be truly a give and take and an equal exchange of energy. But thankfully, I've been able to have good people in my life that trust me enough to send people my way.
Yeah.
So,
And then do you do as a remote training, session, is it multiple clients in the same session or is it always one to one?
so what I do is work one on one with people, and I don't necessarily train them as like say a Zoom or a Skype session where they're working out in front of me. The way it works is I will give them a workout plan to follow that's sort of crafted to whatever it is, whatever parameters that
Goals.
they have, their goals and their specific gym and their specific everything. They go and execute those workouts one by one on their own, and they may record videos of themselves doing those movements to send to me to then give them feedback after the fact.
Okay.
Because, like I said, most of these people are competent enough that I know they're not going to do something egregiously wrong,
Right.
and the workouts I send them have videos of me performing the exercises as well, so
Okay.
they can kind of monkey see, monkey do. And then we go from there. We tweak things over time. I give them feedback if things need to change on the videos they send me, and we work that one on, little by little towards wherever they're trying to go.
Okay. Interesting model. And so it's still a core business activity you're involved in,
Yeah,
even though you mentioned you're starting to transition
right.
into a partnership with your spouse,
This is my
I
wife.
believe.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I still have the training business going. I would say I don't actively, market it. Like if you look at my social media, it's all about real estate now.
Right.
But I have a lot of clients that I've had for years, and I keep they want my services still.
Okay.
So I continue working with them, and anybody that they refer me still, I will work with, as long as the fit is right between the two of us.
Sure.
And so that's sort of, I hate to say becoming more and more my side hustle, but that kind of is how you could
Sure.
describe it. Yeah.
And that's okay. It's okay
Yeah.
to do. And now you've got the new project, which mostly focuses on
So it's sort of three parts. So we have traditional real estate, what you would think of what a traditional
buying
realtor
and
might do.
selling
Yeah,
real
helping
estate.
people buy and sell their home. We have the investment arm, which is going to be my wife and I doing fix and flips and rentals, and also helping other people get into that as
Okay.
well. And then we have my wife's specialty, which is design and construction. And so that's in remodeling people's homes,
Okay.
helping investors with their fix and flips and the remodel and the construction side, and things like that.
Is that then focused here in the Valley, Phoenix Valley?
Mostly here in Phoenix, especially the real estate pretty much is exclusively here right now. The construction and the design mostly here, but she does have clients that have a home in, say, Florida
And
or
other
another state, and
parts,
she will
second
do those.
homes or
Yeah,
investment properties.
exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about the fix and flip market status. It
Hmm.
seems to that
Yeah,
the real estate market's kind of down. If you read report after report, it's
right.
a little soft in most
Things are soft. So
Phoenix and just
we saw over the first quarter or two of this year buyer activity going way lower than normal, and demand is lower, and inventory rose a lot higher than normal. So supply and demand tells
higher
you.
than normal or higher than the new normal or the traditional normal. I mean,
So
because I hear inventory still a little light compared to pre-COVID.
right.
And then I also hear that a lot of sellers are just delisting.
That's right. So I guess what I meant by that is the new normal, right? So
Yeah.
actually, if
Okay.
you compare the numbers of available listings year over year, they held about steady
Yeah.
from
Okay.
this year compared to last year. Really, what it was is that decrease in demand, buyer activity.
Yeah.
Interest rates were
Yeah.
high.
Traffic
A
is
lot of people
down.
are worried about whether there's going to be a collapse of the housing prices, and so they're not wanting to buy. Um, so you saw this discrepancy of this many houses available, this much demand. That gap means there's going to be a soft market,
Yeah.
right? So home prices might drop a little bit. They didn't tumble, they didn't, drop off a cliff,
Sure.
but they softened.
Sure. I sold
Um,
my house here in the valley in 22, and I mean it's slightly up, maybe
mhm,
7, 8, 10% over the 3 years in
mhm.
total. But it's not down by any means. Everyone was, I remember looking online and everyone was forecasting,
Doom and
home
gloom.
price crashes. And
Yeah. So
you need, we've got stable employment still, consistent, low
absolutely.
fours. You need high unemployment to really drive. And then,
Absolutely.
like we all know, there's a big equity position in place. But you're looking at investing in a project today
Mhm.
that you would that would involve
Several months of work and
yeah,
yeah.
so buying it at a defined price,
Mhm.
putting your design efforts and your construction efforts into it, and then selling it.
Mhm.
So you must be optimistic on where the real estate market's going.
So I think that we're seeing some signs that things are coming back to life. The interest rates are dropping. We began the year around 7.25%. Most recently, it's around 6.25%.
Yeah,
That 1%
and
drop.
the Fed is meeting today as we
Yeah.
speak,
So
today and tomorrow.
they may drop interest rates even more. If so, maybe we see a 6% or even a little bit less. We're going to see a lot of buyers come to the market, and that's going to shorten that gap, and that's going to
Okay.
become a more of a balanced market again. What that's going to do is, um, what's interesting is the average home price we might see drop on average for Phoenix, because what's going to happen is a lot of these buyers that are in the lower price ranges, say 300,000, 400,000, are going to come to the market and start buying. So that increase in the lower price point homes being sold, it brings down the average, because the average is traditionally around four, almost 500,000. So
Right.
sales that are below that bring the average down. And so the average home price is going to look like it's going to go down, but sales volume is going to go up. And so what that tells me is whatever price point you're at, as long as sales activity is going up, there's some optimism there as far as when you go to sell your property, if it's a fix and flip. What was scary before and like earlier in this year was buyer activity going down, down, down. Then
Price follows.
prices following a bit. So then you buy at a price you think will mean you can sell at X. You buy at X and you think you can sell at Y, but then when you go to sell for Y, you can't sell for
Right.
it anymore.
Right. So
Um,
sometimes you just cover your cost, which means
right.
you just bought yourself a hobby.
Exactly.
Uh,
You just kind of had fun for the last
yeah. I
few
don't know
few
if you
months.
call renovating a
All right.
home
Well, it
fun
depends
or
on who
not,
you
but
are. It
yeah,
depends on
I
who you
guess.
are. So yeah, that is the trick is so it depends on what kind of fix and flip person you are. If you're a volume person, then you kind of have to have your crews busy,
Yeah.
like you have a
Yeah.
couple of
That's
construction
true.
crews. So you're sort of operating it as a bigger business. Like right now, you would be running basically to not turn a profit, but just to keep your
Yeah.
systems
To keep
running,
your, yeah.
so that when the market comes back, then that's
Right.
profitable time. If you're somebody getting into it for the first time, you don't have that benefit, because this is kind of like you're putting all your money into it right now and hoping to get a return.
Right.
And that's devastating if you say don't make any money, or worse, you make no money. You lose money.
So you're setting yourself up to, the way I understand it, to do a couple of projects like that, find the right property, fix it up, and resell it. You're also setting yourself up for people like me that would like to participate in the market,
Sure.
but I don't want to actually
Do the work.
the work. I've
Yeah.
built a house before. It's
So it could be a couple different ways. We have clients who want to learn the fix and flip model to do it themselves, and we have people who want to get involved, who don't want to really lift hammers or get
right.
into the daily,
Talk to
project management,
contractors.
right? And so for those people, their opportunity is in, providing capital, right? If you can
Yeah.
provide capital, we do all the work. You kind of make your money off of your money, basically. So
Yeah. So the argument is, I know as we talked, I split time between here and Vegas, and then in Vegas, the argument is most of the locals can't afford the housing prices anymore. So you don't see, I mean, you see the rates coming down a bit, which most people solve to a mortgage price. What can they afford,
Mhm.
which is mostly compiled of home price and rate.
Mhm.
So if rate comes down, there's more opportunity for home price to at least normalize, flatten out. Most likely, if buyers come back, house prices could go up a little bit.
Could.
So now we're back in that same problem where cost is still the same.
Yep.
Rates have gone down, but prices have inched back up. So that's the challenge that we face. There's,
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
So rates coming down is nice because you can afford to buy a house for less money per month. Your mortgage is going to be lower, but the problem is a lot more people come to the market. So now you're back to competing with a couple other people for the same house, possibly. And so it's that balancing act, right? And as an investor, you kind of have to ride those waves, right? So if we see that buyer activity is going to come back, and that means that prices hopefully are going up a little bit as an investor, then that's good. That means that the buy price that you can buy at now and forecast it, say 8 to 12 weeks in the future, there's a little bit more opportunity there as an investor too.
But you're looking at the fix and flip
Mhm.
investor. Some people buy, fix, and rent.
Correct. That's a whole different model,
There's
right?
still a good market for rent. If people can't afford to buy a home, they got to live somewhere, so they
Sure.
rent.
Yeah, I would say, boy, 10 years ago, you could buy a home and rent it out and make pretty good cash flow on it.
Right.
These days it depends on what your idea of cash flow is.
Yeah.
If your idea of cash flow is just to cover the mortgage, to pay off the mortgage, then you can still do that. But there's a lot of other costs that come
Right.
with a rental that people forget about. And so, but you kind of, some people will analyze it based on the appreciation of that asset, right? So if
Sure.
they, in Phoenix especially, we've seen record appreciation from 2019,
Right.
2020
Right.
up to 2022. So some people will bank on that. If they can hold on to it for 10, 20 years, the
Right.
hope is
Buying your own home always tends to make sense. You're accommodating your needs, your family needs.
correct.
So you're going to live in that home for X number of years, minimal. But yeah, and then renting it is the same. The challenge, like you were pointing out, is you have to buy a rental property today at a price
Mhm.
that makes the rent high.
Mhm.
Rents are pretty high. So it's
Mhm.
interesting space, and it's kind of like your endeavor into the fitness world.
Mhm.
It was something that personally you had a connection with.
Yeah, personally, the fitness thing, I kind of explained that, and then in the real estate space, my wife being in it,
Yeah.
my dad was involved. My dad had a couple of rental properties that he bought, as his retirement, and so I learned a lot from him. My dad was an entrepreneur as well, so kind of naturally made sense for me to be doing something entrepreneurial
Yeah,
for myself.
sure. Well, and talking to the audience out there of aspiring entrepreneurs, doing something that fits into your world can become a business
Mhm.
that supports your family.
Absolutely,
So
100%.
Great
Yeah,
story.
thank you.
While we're here, kind of at the tail end of the episode, any, I say, shameless plugs? You want to tell us the business name for the real estate? We know it's Strength Cave
Yep.
for
Yeah, so that was the fitness
personal
business. Yep, that was the fitness business. As far as the real estate goes, my wife's company is Studio Vargas,
Okay.
and Studio Vargas Design and Studio Vargas Build. There's some naming things with being a realtor that I can't necessarily, I don't have complete freedom on what I
Sure.
name things because there's some rules. But as far as what I do with real estate, I kind of, I came into it with sort of a unique perspective, having been in another business before and having witnessed how everybody was doing real estate over the last few years, seeing my dad do it, seeing what's going on, all the networking events that I would go to, and so I noticed sort of this way about realtors, some realtors, many realtors, that it's very flashy sometimes, or kind of me, and
Right.
the marketing has to be
Right,
that way.
right.
And so what I came in is I kind of want to be quote unquote like the anti-realtor. I want to do things the right way. I want to do right by the client. To me, it's about the client's win and the client's dream and the client's story, not mine.
Right.
And so that's how I try to lead with the real estate.
And so the name of your real estate business?
As of right now, it's just my name because
Okay.
that's how we had to name it.
see.
But the anti-realtor realtor, or the anti-realtor realtors club, is sort of this thing I'm working off of.
Ah, very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we want to thank all the audience for listening. If you enjoyed the show, like or subscribe to our future podcasts that are coming out. Make sure you get a heads up on them. And we'll see you next time. And thank you again, Andres, for joining us.
It's a pleasure, and thank you so much.
All right.